In the Mix is presented by Bon Thai Restaurant and Lounge, serving authentic Thai cuisine in the heart of Tumon. Bon Thai, home of smiles.
Welcome back. Here's Noelle Monge with the Pepsi Pulse.
Pepsi Pulse is brought to you by Pepsi.
Paint my heart in blue and gray.
How did we meet?
It was your teacher.
Yeah. My teacher, Carlos Laguagna, was doing a show with Patrick Palomo, who's like
my teacher at the time.
Yeah, and then they introduced us to each other.
Jonathan Camacho Glaser and Shannon Maria McManus, the wife and husband duo known as Microchild, have been making multi-genre music for about a year now. First united by their jazz mentor Patrick Palomo, the pair is creating the sound of growing up in the Marianas, the songs of a microchild.
Microchild specifically was a project that we had wanted to pursue because we wanted to tell a specific story about our home and like growing up here and all the things that were familiar to us, you know, in our childhood, just, you know, being kids in Micronesia kind of. And the name Microchild comes from an anthology of poetry that my uncle Valentine Sengopao wrote back in the 70s. He's a Palauan author, and the themes in that book of poetry are kind of what inspired a lot of the songs that we wrote that talk about place and being a Micronesian person.
When it comes to finding the inspiration for creating their music, Shannon and Jonathan observe everything happening around them. From family and inside jokes to nature and the beauty of the land, they are producing a sound anyone from the islands can resonate with.
I think a lot of the inspiration we get happens after being in nature or being in a place that we don't, you know, we kind of take for granted living here in Guam, you know, like, it's only when like the relatives from off island, you know, come home that you go like check out, you know, go hiking or like, oh, I haven't been to this waterfall since I was 6. But it's that experience of like being in the land and really being surrounded by, you know, just the beauty of what our island has to offer.
After years of wanting to create an album as Microchild, Jonathan and Shannon had developed their skills, learned how to play unfamiliar instruments, and produce the tracks themselves for a project that embodied their spirit, unfiltered and uninterrupted.
I think making this album is something we've been wanting to do for a really long time, and we only more recently found our means of doing it. Because we've had experiences in the past where other people wanted to like claim their stakes on her original music or our original music, and we didn't want to run into that, so we decided to do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
And we found the means to do it, and here we are.
The duo wants anyone who comes across the album to receive its message of unwavering identity and to feel the pride of a Pacific Islander completely.
We wanted it to be a declarative statement about our identity and that we're not ashamed to be Micronesian people. We're not ashamed to grow up the way that we do and like in these kinds of small communities that to many artists are not very appealing.
Microchild's music cannot be easily grouped into already existing genres. It is instead indie tunes based in the couple's jazz upbringing with tributes to distinctly Micronesian sounds any islander can recognize from their childhood.
We wanted to like pay homage to like the Micronesian keyboard because that was like the sound of my childhood, like at all the Palauan gatherings. You know, it's that sound, it's that Parker Yobe sound where it's like, you know, like with the minus one drum beat. Yeah, it's like we love that stuff. I love that sound to this day. Like it brings up very fond memories.
The album release show that the pair put on, which will soon be available online for those who missed it, completes the story that the album puts forward. the story of new Micronesians being tasked by our ancestors to cultivate and preserve the culture.
We did weave in a lot of poetry, and we kind of wanted it to be this non-linear style of storytelling where, you know, for me, when I am listening in on what the adults are saying, you know, sometimes I'm coming in the middle of a story, or I don't really understand the full context. My Palaun's not good, you know, so I'm hearing bits and pieces of maybe, you know, it might be a legend, it might be something real that happened in our history, it might be a combination of those things, and it might be through song, it might be through dance, you know. And so I wanted people to feel that kind of a new cultural experience that unites those things with like our music.
You can now find Microchild's self-titled album anywhere where music is streamed and on microchild.bandcamp.com.
Pepsi Pulse is brought to you by Pepsi.
We'll wrap up the show after the break.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.